All right. Where are we here? It's Wednesday night. It's 7 p.m. It's time for the South Carolina normal cannabis conversation. Ah, let's give it a second here. Let's see if we get some folks kind of joined in the room. Looks like we are connected on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Or I saw a good one on that the other day. I thought was good. The letter X is pronounced in some languages as sh, and so now you can imagine the new name of that platform. Um, tick, tick, tick up. I gotta find my buttons here. Sorry about that, y'all. There we go. All right, we're about 7:02. We're gonna again give it a minute or two here. Hopefully, we get a couple of people join us for the conversation tonight. Have a couple of topics we want to talk about. We will start with our welcome as we normally do, with our disclaimer that all of our meetings are an environment of education and awareness and are not an open market for the sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis. We do not encourage or condone illegal behavior of any kind. Usually about this time too, I ask you to kind of remember to follow us on social media. We post more on Facebook, but we also do our weekly cannabis conversation to YouTube. So like, share, and subscribe on the YouTube. Also, we do a little bit of Twitter, a little bit of Instagram, not as much. um, but anyway, follow us on social media, kind of keep up with things when things are moving along, which there's not a lot going on at the moment. Also, I like to remind you to follow our sponsors, visit our website at scnormal.org, and visit our sponsor page. Our sponsors help support our efforts here to try and legalize or decriminalize at least simple cannabis possession here in South Carolina. Actually, we're looking to reform federal laws and deschedule. Anyway, check out our newest sponsor, RAM, homemade, hand painted, handmade, American handmade. I'll have to get his link up here real quick. Uh, there we go. We'll share his RAM Handmade, our newest sponsor. I appreciate his art and effort because being from Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania Dutch hex signs are quite enjoyable. Got some stickers. We're going to probably post a couple of these to our web page, so to our web page store. So we'll have a couple of these available for y'all if you'd like to make a donation to get one of those stickers. And I think we even have a few variations on that. Um, and the others are pretty much one-offs. You'll see these coming up on our web store in the not too distant future. Again, don't forget to go visit our website to find a link directly to their website or check it out here. It dropped it in the chat for you. Excuse me. All right, let me turn off that little button, turn off that little button, and click up that little button. All right, love the buttons. Um, Intro and agenda tonight. Being slow season and being that I've been kind of, uh, how do I best explain it? Kind of in a blue funk. I just haven't been getting the ambition, haven't been having trouble getting going and inspirate, trying to find inspiration and just not seeming to. Um, but we're going to take inspiration from the headlines again this week, and talk about what's kind of going on in the news. Some of it national, some of it across the nation, some of it right here in South Carolina. Excuse me. So give me just a moment. We'll get to it. Any of you who follow know that I don't generally drink, but I opened up a bottle of wine to do some cooking tonight. Ah, And I've had a few sips of a Cabernet Sauvignon. Pretty good. I like it. Anyway, um, so yeah, we've got three different titles for you tonight. I did kind of post them in the description in the YouTube and I think Facebook um, post earlier today when we put them out there. So we'll get to those in just a minute. Before we get to our cannabis question, let's see, we got some comments up here in the comment section. And we've got Devin who says, happy to see this happening here in South Carolina. I'm excited to have found you guys. Hey, we're excited you found us as well. Yeah, the more people we can get involved, the better. That's one of the things we've been kind of talking about here and there with trying to reach out across the state. When we formed in early 2017, we were more in the Charleston Low Country area, transitioned to the state level chapter back in 2020. Again, amongst the COVID pandemic kind of stuff, it's been hard to get out and about. And we've been starting to do that again this year. Somerville, we have one of our biggest business sponsors is the Knot Burger Pub up in Somerville. Great people, great place to eat. So welcome and thank you for being here with us. Yeah, stay in touch and I see us have here. Would love to help with anything you're doing. Plan to sign up as a member. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter. It comes out about once a month. But really, you'll get more information just kind of joining us on a Wednesday night if you're available, and or you know, we do put these on YouTube so you can follow up and watch them later if you're interested too. Thank you very much for joining us. And with that, let's see what else we got going here. Any other comments in the chat? Not at the moment. Excuse me for this frog in my throat tonight. I know it's not uncommon. Why we keep a jug of water. All right, we are going to start with our first cannabis question again this week. We try to do three. Again, usually when I end the program, I notice there's sometimes one or two still laying there we didn't get to. So we're going to start with our first cannabis question before we get into our first topic tonight. And this is in the culture category. It's a 40-point question. Culture category, 40-point question. In this culture, the term Patagoya is used to describe marijuana. Hang on, we just did this one last week. All right, I'm putting that one back because I remember reading that last week. I may not have read it on air, but I remember reading it. So I'm going to pull a fresh one. Sorry about that, y'all. Movies. I'm putting that one away. I do have a couple of others that I know are relatively fresh. Movies category, 40-point question. That's it. There we go. What's the name of the marijuana delivery service in the movie Half Baked? Is it Mr. Nice Guy, Puff Snacks, or Happy Delivery? Movies category, 40-point question. What's the name of the marijuana delivery service in the movie Half Baked? Is it Mr. Nice Guy, Puff Snacks, or Happy Delivery? All right, we'll go with that. We'll give it a minute, see if anybody has any answers to that particular question this evening. With that, I do want to remind you that if you would like to sponsor any of our trivia questions, support your business, advertise your business, promote your business, please reach out to us through our website, scnormal.org. Go to the contact page and shoot me a message. Let me drop this one back in my right spot in the box so I don't accidentally pull it out again next week. All right, close up that window here and let's get to it. Turn off that. Oh, let's get to the answer. All right, back to the answer on that one. Movies, 40-point question. What's the name of the marijuana delivery service in the movie Half Baked? I think I'm a little half baked. It must be the wine because I usually don't get this silly. All right. Is it Mr. Nice Guy, puff snack, or happy delivery? The answer to that is Mr. Nice Guy. I think I put the card away. I completely forgot to answer it for y'all. Mr. Nice Guy is the answer. I don't think I knew that. That's one I did not know. So, all right, all right. So, um, I don't have any necessarily any banners to pop up here for any of these, so we're just gonna go ahead and open them up and share the stories, and I will share you links and headlines as I do that in the chat window. First one here. Get this link. The city of Duluth passes its marijuana ordinance, making it illegal to smoke in certain places in the city. Um, I should have looked a little closer. Which Dakota is that? North Dakota, South Dakota? What are those Dakotas? Anyway, not in South Carolina. Let me go ahead and share the article with you here. Window. There we go. All right, there is our headline. The city of Duluth passes its marijuana ordinance in the city for we'll hit the top line here. Recreational use of marijuana has been legal in the state of Minnesota for a little over 13 days. Not quite 2 weeks, or about, I guess it's over 13 days. It would be about 2 weeks. Anyway, in Duluth, city council members are looking at ways to help keep the community safe. Safe. The marijuana ordinance will make it illegal to smoke cannabis in all public parks, anywhere within 100 feet of a medical facility, in transit authority, and 15 feet from the nearest point of any DTA transit shelter. So, like a bus shelter and stuff like that. Um, this is actually a very short article. It's all in this little bit here. On Monday night during this council meeting, the ordinance passed 8-1. The council member Eric Forsman shared his sentiment with WDIO. Tonight, the Duluth City Council passed the ordinance restricting marijuana smoking to the same extent as tobacco smoking in the city of Duluth. All types of smoking will now be restricted in any Duluth park. This is a common sense measure to balance and protect the rights of Duluthians to enjoy our parks and public spaces. We must, as we adjust to the legalization of marijuana like cities across Minnesota. Now, if you're caught violating the law, there will be a $25 fee for the first time violation, $50 for the second, and then a $75 for the third. So I'm assuming these are, like civil citations, like a parking ticket type thing. You're going to get a fine. The smoking ban includes, now this is what kind of caught my attention when I read it a little bit earlier. The smoking ban includes cannabis ingestion in the forms of vaping, edibles, e-cigs, and tobacco. Now I can understand the vaping and the e-cigs and tobacco. I guess they're blending it with, but edibles, uh, I don't quite understand. You know, they they're using the safety thing and talking secondhand smoke and even I guess secondhand vape. But edibles, you don't get like secondhand eats. I, I, right. Uh, I'm right there with you. First, I'm going to bring Devin back here a little bit. He's got a buddy out in Minnesota who's enjoying, I guess maybe Duluth. Oh, so this is Minnesota? Oh, is that what I just said? Minnesotians, wherever I just said. I lost track. Yeah, Minnesota. Um, but then he agreed with me. Edibles? What the? So yeah, we're right there with you on that. I don't get the edibles. Yeah, and now, mind you, folks, if you're out in a public space, courtesy kind of prevails, in my opinion. I'm not one. I was a cigarette smoker for many years. I probably quit about, I don't know, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Um, um, but so I don't generally enjoy the smell of smoke when I'm out and about. Um, and I understand there's a lot of people who do not care for the smell of cannabis when they're out and about. Um, heard me promote them a little bit every now and again here on the program. On our website, we have some sploofs, and people go, "Sploof? What the heck is a sploof?" Basically, a little personal air filter. You take your puff, you exhale through this personal air filter. It traps the smoke and the smell to a pretty darn good extent. Not completely, but to a large part, very good extent. You don't have big plumes of smoke coming out, stuff like that. Um, and I use them even here in my home because I just don't want to smell up my home. And more kind of as a courtesy to my spouse, and to, obviously, if I have somebody come visiting the house, I don't really want them to smell cannabis in my home. So I try and keep it to a minimum and try and use a sploof. Um, a lot of the times, not always, I must admit. Um, so yeah, you know, it would be rude to go, oh, it's legal now, puff, 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 and then blow it right in people's faces and stuff like that. And I'm not saying anyone should do that, and I'm not thinking anyone would necessarily do that. But also, as being, a cigarette smoker or seeing people smoke for many, many decades, you know, sometimes smokers aren't as considerate to non-smokers as non-smokers would like. So, uh, but yeah, non and no edibles. I mean, that one just kind of threw me. So I'm going to leave that there, just kind of as it is. Throw that one out there. Um, thought that was pretty kind of funny that they included edibles somehow in this, so that if you're out at the park and you're having a picnic and you happen to have baked some pot brownies, they might suspect they're brownies and bust your picnic. So be careful there in Duluth, Minnesota. Uh, all right. We're going to move on to the next one here. Let me kind of turn off the share for just a second while I go ahead and get the link on the next one. Oh, now what the heck just happened to that one? Wow. Somehow or another, I lost the story. Apparently, I'm not a subscriber. So, uh, although I got to read it earlier, let me see if I can find a little something on that one in a different media source, because I thought this was kind of an interesting story in state. But yeah, there's a couple of newspapers. Oops. On the next thing you know, boom, you can't read this anymore. Okay, that's the one that won't let me read it. Let's see if I can find it somewhere else. Okay, I can't find that one. Let me see if this one's kind of close enough. There. From, I thought it was going to block me. weekend. Let me check here. Let me get you a headline. This is out of Ohio. Similar story to what I wanted to talk about. Is their November ballot measure. And who's opposing it? I do apologize. The article that I read on this just sort of like locked up and disappeared on me. So I'm going to have to try and kind of bring it up from a seat of the pants type of situation here, which you know I tend to do from time to time. Open up this window to share it with you. Recreational marijuana opposition campaign organizes to defeat proposal on November 7th. I don't know if this will give me the same information exactly as the other, but I am not. If you all may remember, the voters were doing a ballot initiative, voter initiated ballot initiative to gather to legalize recreational cannabis in Ohio. Ohio has been doing municipal ballot initiatives to decriminalize across the state for the past couple of years. Yeah, we even worked with them a little bit to see if we could kind of get it off the ground here in South Carolina. Still haven't gotten it off the ground here, even at municipal level, and I still want to do that. But they have actually gotten the signatures. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I want to say maybe a month or so ago, it was in the news that they were like 679 signatures short of getting the required number of signatures they needed to get this on the ballot. And that they had something like 10 or 15 days, I think it was 10 days, to get those signatures. And what I didn't realize until I read that other article a little bit earlier, and I was hoping it would be in this one, uh, was they came back with an additional 6,500 signatures to, make sure that they covered the 679 that they were short. Came back with an additional 650, 6,500, 6,500 more signatures. I guess to prove their point that there was support to put this on the ballot. So let me kind of go through this one a little bit with you here because I don't know how much of this relates to the first story I read. It did have to do with the Children's Hospital director making a quote about, save our babies and stuff that protect the children. A coalition of children's healthcare, law enforcement, prosecutors, veterans, and anti-marijuana groups have joined forces to try to defeat Ohio's adult use recreational cannabis proposal that is aimed to be on the ballot November 7th. I liked the other article. Interesting. It was talking about this head of this children's hospital was apparently talking about an increase in unintentional ingestion of cannabis by children or young people. But then he mentioned poisoning. And I'm like, hold it, poisoning? And I said, pulled up the definition of poisoning, and it's like, that's really inflammatory speak to say just because somebody, ingested, because that means life, serious injury or death, and I'm sure there was no real injury involved. Anyway, this particular article says that the just like alcohol proposal hasn't yet been cleared for the ballot, having come up short in the number of required signatures needed to qualify. Well, they now have come up with them. So I don't know how much older this article is. August 16th. It was updated today. The Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose is expected to announce this week whether they collected enough valid signatures that would clear the proposal for the November ballot. And yes, as I mentioned, they did 6,500 additional signatures to cover that 679 or whatever the number was. Um, on Tuesday, the Protect Ohio Workers and Families campaign announced that this uh, is organized to fight the legalization efforts. Made up of Ohio Children's Hospital Association, Ohio's oh, excuse me, Adolescent Health Association, Buckeye Sheriff's Association, Ohio Association of Chiefs of Police, Ohio Prosecuting Attorneys Association, Ohio Veterans First, Veterans Court Watch, and Smart Approaches to Marijuana. We've heard about SAM before, which discourages marijuana use and legalization. So that is very similar information I got from the other article. It is law enforcement, prosecutors, prosecuting attorneys. Um, how exactly some of these veterans groups are involved, I'm not sure. But and again, a Children's Hospital Association. Um, I've been seeing this one group. I want to say it's on Twitter, Parents Against Pot. And oh my goodness, I mean the propaganda they put out there, and they will turn around and with propaganda, you know, try to dispel uh, the facts and the statistics. Uh, Craziness. Anyway, Ohio children face enough risks. Oh, here we go. To their health and safety today, and would be more at risk with recreational legalization, says Nick Lashuta, President and CEO of Ohio Children's Hospital Association. That may be the same person. To help them live their healthiest lives and reach their full potential, we must be working together to reduce risks, not increase exposure to hazardous addictive substances like marijuana that can negatively impact their mental well-being, uh, cognitive impairment, development, and worse, he said. With the legalization of medical marijuana, our hospitals, here we go, have already seen an increase in unintentional ingestions, poisonings, and other incidents that are threatening to children's lives. That's the one that got me. Poisonings. So let's see if I pulled up the right one here. Poisoning. What's the best definition? Was this the one I opened? Yes, poisoning from the Mayo Clinic. Poisoning is injury or death due to swallowing, inhaling, touching, or injecting various drugs, chemicals, venoms, or gases. Poisoning. So yeah, pretty inflammatory statement if you ask me. Call it poisonings, um, especially for how many children can be helped by cannabis. And how many children can be harmed by other substances that are already legal, that if they would choose cannabis instead of, they would probably be better off. Again, this is regulate like alcohol. Um, we're not promoting children's use of cannabis. I'm sure Ohio's not in their bill here or in their ballot initiative. They're not trying to promote children's use. Same with alcohol. I mean, it's not legal for children to buy alcohol, to consume alcohol. Um, so treat it the same. It's not like they're trying to make it available to kids. Um, if they want to say, well, it's available in the home now. Yeah, parents may need to be responsible. Parents need to keep their things, especially things. I mean, I don't have children in my home. Um, But if I did, I wouldn't be letting my gummies that look like candy laying around for the kids to get at. First off, I can't afford to just share them with the kids. Uh, okay, maybe that's the wrong attitude, but it's just like Halloween. Nobody wants to be sharing their edibles with strangers. Um, Forget it. They ain't giving weed out to your kids. Um, anyway. Yeah, they're trying to do well, what about the children stuff? What about the children stuff? And my comeback on that one. Let's see if I can hold that up just a little bit closer to the screen. Nobody should be arrested for simple cannabis possession. So they don't seem to have any problem with harming the children once had cannabis and sending law enforcement out there to penalize them and lock them up and hang a noose around them or put a saddle on them for the rest of their lives, preventing them to get other benefits from society like uh, educational funding or assistance, educational assistance, housing assistance, uh, criminalizing young parents trying to say that they're jeopardizing their children because there's cannabis in their home. It freaking drives me crazy how they think, "No, I know that doesn't harm anybody. Criminalization doesn't harm anybody except the criminals." Yeah, so they try and demonize you. They try and vilify you to justify their uh, their treatment. All right, so uh, I'm not going to go a whole lot further through this. Actually, I should because I just see something about a lot of money. The coalition noted that the Just Like Alcohol campaign is well funded, having raised $3 million thus far this year for its campaign. That's pretty darn impressive. I'd love to see that kind of fundraising for anything here in South Carolina. The multi-billion-dollar industry is controlled by a small number of large, wealthy individuals and companies that are funding efforts to impose recreational use in Ohio and other states, said Angela Phillips, who was a steering committee. So she's trying to blame it on the companies for funding it, but the companies are not the ones signing the petitions, folks. Keep that in mind. It is the people. They need to be registered voters and citizens of the state to sign these petitions. The municipal ones, you need to be a registered voter and a resident of that particular municipality. So all those smaller decriminals across the state were done by local people getting out on the ground, collecting signatures, passing around petitions. Um, I wish, I wish that South Carolina had it in their constitution to allow us to try it at a state level. I think that's why a lot of people in our state have lost hope and just moved out to a legal state somewhere, is because we don't have that option to sort of twist the arm of our legislators to do the will of the people, which is what they're supposed to be doing anyway. so, um, So that's interesting. They have raised some good money for this, and to be quite honest, if some money is needed. There is advertising dollars. I'm sure almost all that money went into, or will be going into, their Get Out the Vote campaign. Now, once you get on I mean, getting it on the ballot is only half the battle. Getting those signatures, that's only half the battle. It's a big half. I mean, it's a big effort. But now the second part is to get out the vote, get out that vote. And this is going to be this November. This isn't a real big election year. It's not the election year that gets out lots of voters. It's going to be a little bit more of a challenge, I think, in this type of election year to get those voters out and to the polls, especially the ones that are supporters. Um, you know, which of course is what you want. But you need to get that campaign to get those people to realize, hey, there's something important going on this election. We need to get out there. We need to get to the polls. We need to cast our vote. So, knock compressed particle board wood, whatever I've got close at hand. Oh, there's some real wood that I was able to put off. We know they've got some, fight ahead of them in this. Um, but yeah, poisoning. Ugh. Sorry, I sometimes get stuck on stuff. All right, I am not going to go through the rest of that particular now. If you want, I did share the link in on Cleveland.com. There we go. I did share the link in the chat. I do want to kind of take a break from this story at the moment. And geez, we are moving along a little bit quicker than I thought we would be. Because I know the next story is not going to take us too long into the evening, so I might have to just ramble a little. But until we get there, guess what, folks? It's time for our next trivia question. Let me read it, make sure I haven't read it before. All right. This is a law category, 40-point question. What amendment protects United States citizens from unreasonable searches which pertain to drug testing at work? Would that be the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, or the 10th Amendment? Again, law category, 40-point question. What amendment protects United States citizens from unreasonable which pertain to drug testing at work? The First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, or the 10th Amendment? Just so you all know, get these from Stoner Trivia. So, them if any answers are incorrect. This was accurate, though. We'll do that one more time. Law category, 40-point question. Which amendment protects the United States citizens from reasonable searches which pertains to drug testing at work? That would be the Fourth Amendment. The right to decline any unreasonable searches and seizures, the right to be secure in your person, papers, and effects, I think is the wording. All right. Forget we do have available some pocket constitutions. Maybe I have one counter to kind of hold up and show you. Ordering a or something or a number, don't forget you can put a pocket constitution in there. I always have that and study up a little on the Constitution. There's one more question for a little bit later. We'll take a look at that in a bit. Boy, I don't know. It seemed to be working. Let me go back and check it again now that I hit that. All right, now it looks like something's working. I don't know. I want to try and go back. It says testing, testing. All right, it looks like they're working again. Thank you for that heads up there, Josh. I appreciate it. Cool. Where was I? So I don't know where we kind of lost out on that. I apologize. Um, but one of the things I was starting to say on this was we don't know what kind of product it was that the guy was, the undercover agent purchased, what kind of products were being sold out of there. I've heard stories of people buying products from China, um, in bulk through their distributors, blah, 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 putting it on the shelves of their retail shop and not investigating the products that they're buying to sell to the consumers in South Carolina. Um, and that's where that buyer beware comment kind of came in a little bit earlier. As a retailer, I really kind of wish we had VP on with us tonight because, as the owner of Mr. B CBD shop, they have to be very diligent about where they source their product from. They have some hemp flower available there. They want to make sure that it is hemp flower that is legal in South Carolina and properly tested, and that they have the proper certificates of analysis. That's something that a number of times on the program is how important these certificates of analysis are. Um, so I don't know what this man in his shop. I sometimes wonder about some of these, vape CBD or vape. This one was, they called it a vape and tobacco shop. Um, I don't even think it was necessarily called a vapor. That was the name of the shop. So, I've got to admit, now some of the shops I've been in, most of the shops I've been into are um, seem to be very cognizant of the products they're putting out there, making sure that it's within the laws here in South Carolina. You also have to remember, and I'm going to show you here again in the bottom of this article, that silly opinion letter from our Attorney General Alan Wilson. So anyway, during the investigation, yep, they said the other purchase was over 1%, which is per the farming hemp bill is marijuana. Has to be under, actually, I think technically has to be like 0.3% or below. So being greater than that 1%, puts it over that. And that is something I believe I saw some legislation, not this session, but last session, trying to increase the THC level in locally grown, South Carolina grown hemp. Um, because sometimes it's hard to control the exact amount, and it can be then balanced in processing, um, if they're processing to something else and not just whole flower. It can be processed through. Um, Anyway, I didn't see that legislation go anywhere. Al Dakar, Al Qadri, there we go, I'll get it right yet. Was charged with distribution, possession with intent to distribute. At one point, he was offered an opportunity to avoid a trial and possible felony record, and he refused. So what they're basically saying here is they offered him a plea deal. Most most prosecution ends with plea deals. They want to go to court. They want you to plead it out. Um, and I'm assuming that Al Qadri said, no, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't break any laws. I bought the stuff legally through my distributor. I sold it legally to the community. Uh, I followed all the rules. Um, I'm not sure, again, what the product was, how well he may have followed all the rules, or not even following the rules, but doing his due diligence. I guess, because this is a risky item to be for to be dealing in this state. Um, so he was offered a deal, and he refused the deal. So then he was brought to trial on July 11th in Union County General Court, and a jury found him guilty of distribution of marijuana. Uh, I'd be really curious to kind of see what evidence was produced exactly um, in this case. Due to the guilty verdict per the City of Union ordinance, the business license for Al Qadri and Union Tobacco and Vape has been revoked. The state attorney general has issued an opinion stating that THC Delta 8, THC Delta 10, and THC Delta 9 greater than 0.3% are all considered marijuana. So let me go back up in here. It did say a Delta 9 product, though. That's about the only seemingly clarification. But they're all supposedly considered marijuana under Schedule 1, according to South Carolina state statute, and illegal. Again, that is the opinion letter, which is an inaccurate opinion by the state attorney general. But as you can see here, law enforcement agencies are starting to apply this around the state. They were doing this in Columbia with, oh, now I forget, Crown Town Cannabis. I've been told they've had to remove the cannabis words from their building, from their front window. My understanding is they are back and operating again, but continually being harassed by law enforcement and legislators. My understanding it's the governor's wife has had some oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Influence in their persecution. But yeah, here we have another one. This one out of Union, South Carolina. Um, Again, I wish I had a little bit more information for you on what the actual products were that got to this point that he was found guilty, and I'd also be curious to find if they are going to appeal the verdict. Um, so we'll try and see if we can find out more on the road a little bit. But again, I thought that was a story to kind of keep you up to date on what the climate in South Carolina is. This is the climate in South Carolina. They're even rating vape shops for, being just over 1% or something like that. Um, and screaming and crying, save our babies. All right, all right. I'm going to do it this week. I'm going to do it this week. I am going to read a third. I'm starting to forget what I'm talking about because I've almost finished that little bit of wine here, and I am just a cheap date. All right. This one, category unjust bust. I know we've done a few of these. I don't think this is one we've done before. Unjust bust, 30-point category, a 30-point question. Which member of the Beatles was arrested in London after police found 120 joints in his home in 1969? Was it George Harrison, John Lennon, or Ringo Starr? I wonder what the significance of the 120 joints was. Unjust bust is the category. 30-point question. Which member of the Beatles was arrested in London after police found 120 joints in his home in 1969? Was it George Harrison, John Lennon, or Ringo Starr? And we'll make it kind of quick and easy tonight. What's the answer on this one? The answer to that is George Harrison. All right, we actually got through all three of our trivia questions tonight. I didn't space out and forget. That's kind of an interesting thing. Um, we are mid-August. I'm looking here at the calendar. I'm thinking, all I know is this heat has been like stifling me. I think maybe that's part of uh, what's been kind of killing some of my ambition. It's just this stifling heat. I don't want to leave the house, go out in any place that's not cooler and air conditioned, and you know, being outdoors for short periods can be pretty brutal. Um, I don't think I can share this picture. Let me see if I have it handy. Oh, maybe it's in here. Nope. No, I thought I could access those photos from here, but I am not seeing them. Uh, oh, hold it. Let me scroll down. I'm going to try and share this one real quick. Look at it. There we go. Let me share this. I was in this heat a few weeks, probably about a month, maybe a little bit more. I've built a new world headquarters for South Carolina NORML. This is our storage for most of our stuff. I'm still trying to get things organized on here. I don't know if you can see. Uh, Took a little time to try and build a little rack that holds about 9 of these storage containers. I'm still working on the process of transferring product out of cardboard boxes and into here. Um, you can see a little bit of our canopy tent here on the side. We've got some folding chairs in there. I still have some more things to bring out. We've got t-shirts and stuff that I'm not sure if I'm even going to bring the t-shirts out, although I'm pretty sure they'd be safe in those tote boxes down there. Um, but oh my goodness, I mean, it's getting there. It's getting there, and it's cleaning out some significant space in my home that I needed for my home. So I'm pretty excited about that. That we've got some actual storage space now. Um, well, hopefully this will be pretty easy for us to be able to just pop the door open, throw a couple of totes and get out and set up a booth somewhere. Um, And even if somebody's just tabling, go in, grab a table, grab some chairs, grab one of the totes that might have signature collection stuff, clipboards and pens and things like that. Because we are trying to kick back up. Let me don't back out because I wishy-washy. But yeah, we need to do this. I think that's our best effort is going to be to move forward with decrim petitions municipally. But anyway, that's my big excitement at the moment is in this heat, I was able to finally get this thing built. Nice little platform underneath it, pretty well weatherproofed. Um, I still want to kind of put a step or a ramp or something in the front. Um, but now that I've got the rack for the totes down, um, I can get some of our stuff organized, get an inventory of what we have. Um, and share that info with my team so that they know, because that's part of the issue. Um, my board members, my team members, uh, aren't really aware of some of the stuff we have that they might be able to utilize for some efforts. So anyway, um, managed to get it done in the heat. One of the benefits is not far from that area that I'm showing you is also our swimming pool. We put in an above ground pool last year. I would come out in my swimsuit and a t-shirt, maybe, do a little bit of work on this thing, jump in the pool for a little while, cool off, come back out, do a little bit of work sometimes. Sometimes I hit the pool and that was it. So, but anyway, new world headquarters. It is getting there. Pretty much last last thing to do is to get our stuff loaded in, organized, and inventory. But thought I'd share that with you. Otherwise, not a lot I can share about what's coming up in the next couple of weeks here. Nothing solid. Just keep an eye out on our social media, on our newsletter, and on our coming events page on our website. And we'll try and keep you posted on any new upcoming events. Beyond that, come on back next Wednesday at 7 p.m. for the cannabis conversation. Hopefully, we'll have some other information for you, or if not, we'll find some new headlines to talk about. Beyond that, that's all I got, folks. Have a great night and see you next week. Appreciate you being here.